imperfect student. I don't know, let's call him Phil, about these perfective verbs, which are only used for completed action. Yeah.
That's another um, level of complexity. Yeah.
Niedokonane verbs are imperfect verbs.
So the following is round two with Robert, one of my most dedicated students, and this time he is the teacher and I'm the student. But before I tell you more about that, I just wanted to share something with you guys. So I have this vision in my mind where hundreds, like thousands, hundreds and millions of foreigners are able to speak the Polish language. And the main reason they can do that, and that you guys, that you, my students who joined me
That's
on this project. And that's why I'm doing this. I just want to see millions of foreigners being able to speak the Polish language. And in this introduction, I'm bringing my new assistantka, GPT-ta. GPT-ta, are you there?
I'm right here. It's so inspiring to hear about your vision of helping millions of people learn Polish. I'm excited to be part of this journey with you and Robert as we dive into the intricacies of the Polish language together. Let's make this vision a reality.
Yeah, so it's not only Robert there, many of them. But today's round two is something that Robert prepared. His Polish is, so good that sometimes I think it's even better than mine, but that's another topic. So yeah, can you read over the main points of what we did with Robert? Can you see these things on the chat right now?
Absolutely. We covered quite a lot with Robert in the second round. Here are some of the main points. Perfective versus imperfective verbs. Robert did an amazing job explaining the difference between these two aspects in Polish. We learned that perfective verbs are all about completed actions, while imperfective verbs focus on ongoing or repeated actions. Indicators and keywords. We talked about the clues that help determine which verb aspect to use, like certain words that signal an action is ongoing or completed. Real life examples and practice. Robert shared practical examples, and we even practiced choosing the right verbs in various sentences, which was super insightful. And fun metaphors. The analogy of imperfect Phil versus the perfect student really helped illustrate how these verb aspects work. If you need any more details or want me to highlight something specific, just let me know.
Yeah, there were a few moments where I answered differently than Robert expected me to answer. And I also said during the podcast that I will explain more about all these things. But on the other hand, I was thinking, I'm really curious how many of my students are going to watch this, video. And I'm sure if they watch the whole thing, they will ask me, on our lessons. And additionally, this video is going to be watched also by teachers, future teachers. So I want them to see how also, teachers and in general, Polish people make mistakes, or sometimes it seems like they make mistakes which are based on things that people normally when they speak say in one way, and the grammar rules force you to say things differently. But yeah, so instead of telling all the secrets right now, I decided to choose a different strategy. And because I like to experiment as I go, and now finally I have this opportunity to really experiment not only with AI like you, GPT-ta, but also with myself, like this conversation, this lesson that Robert prepared was so stressful for me. Like for the first time in my career, I was the student here, and it was a very interesting experience. And I'm going to definitely prepare a lot of materials for future teachers on that. But yeah, what do you say, GPT-ta?
I think that sounds like a fantastic approach. Embracing the role of a student and experiencing the learning process firsthand is such a valuable way to grow as a teacher. It's great that you're willing to experiment and share these experiences, not just with your students, but with future teachers as well. It really shows that language learning is a journey for everyone, and it's okay to make mistakes and learn from them. I'm excited to see how your students and fellow teachers respond to this unique perspective.
Yeah, me too. So now, can you say something like, if you want to see and hear Robert speaking Polish, you can watch our first podcast, and you can click right now in the right top corner or just scroll down and find the link in the comments below.
Sure, here you go. If you want to see and hear Robert speaking Polish, you can check out our first podcast. Just click right now in the top right corner or scroll down and find the link in the comments below.
And now you can introduce, the viewers to round two with Robert.
Absolutely. So everyone get ready for round 2 with Robert. This time the roles are reversed. Robert steps in as the teacher and I become the student as we dive into the complexities of Polish verb aspects. It's an eye-opening, fun, and educational experience that you won't want to miss. So stay tuned and join us as we explore the fascinating world of Polish grammar together.
Cześć, Janusz.
Cześć, Robert.
Cześć. Dzisiaj mamy odwrócenie ról i dzisiaj ja jestem nauczycielem i ty jesteś studentem.
Tak, dokładnie.
Więc można powiedzieć, że czas zemsty.
No i czas stresu dla mnie też.
O, zobaczymy. Okej. Czy jesteś gotowy? Zaczynamy? Can we start?
Tak, yes, we can.
Okay. So today we're going to talk about aspects of Polish verbs. The so-called czasowniki niedokonane i dokonane. And most Polish verbs, they come in two forms. So there's an imperfect form and a perfect form. So this is added cruelty for a Polish learner because for every one English verb, we have to learn two Polish verbs. So today we're just going to have a look at this, what this is about, how it works. And it's quite important that you understand this because depending on what you want to say, that dictates the form of the verb that you have to use.
Okay.
So let's just jump in, have a look at the first slide. So these niedokonane verbs or imperfect verbs, we use this form when we describe an action that has a duration of action that goes on for a long time, or it's something that we do repeatedly, or sometimes the action's incomplete. And how we express this in English is by using these various tenses. So, for example, if I say he writes in his journal every day, he's writing at the moment, he was writing for hours yesterday, he used to write when he was younger, or he will be writing every day on holiday. So here you can see that this is an action that went on for a long time, or it
Yeah.
can be a repeated action. So have you got an idea what verb you would use in Polish in this situation?
Pisać.
Bardzo
One,
dobrze.
one point,
Yeah,
1 point for
one for
Janusz.
you, 1 point for you. So
Yeah.
how would you say I am writing?
Piszę.
How do you say I was writing yesterday?
Wczoraj pisałem.
Okay, I will be writing for a long time in the future.
Będę pisać długo w przyszłości.
Bardzo, bardzo dobrze. O, jestem pod wrażeniem. And
Yeah.
dokonany, or perfect, on the other hand, these verbs we use to describe an action that's completed. It's a one-time action. So it's all done, finished, pencils down, and there's a clear result. So if we use the same sort of example, I could say he wrote a letter yesterday to his aunt in Gdańsk. He will write to Lot Polish Airlines because they lost his bags. He has written an interesting article about Trump in Gazeta Wyborcza. He had written a shopping list, but then he lost it. So you can see the difference here, the contrast. These actions are finished. He wrote a letter yesterday, he started, finished, posted it, it's all done. He will write a letter to Lot, and he'll start it, finish it, and send it off. So it's finished, okay? So because these are completed actions, there's no present tense when you use a Polish perfective verb, because by definition, if it's a present tense, it's happening now. So there's an ongoing action, and you can't use a perfect verb because perfective verbs describe something that's completely happened in the past or will happen in the future. So which verb would suit in Polish here?
Napisać.
Bardzo dobrze. Napisać. So
Dziękuję.
how would you say I wrote a letter yesterday?
Wczoraj napisałem list.
Okay, tomorrow I will write a letter. I'll start, I'll finish, I'll complete the letter. Tomorrow I will write a letter.
To Donald Trump?
Może być, czemu nie?
Okay. So, jutro napiszę list.
Okay, and we can't use a present tense form of this, as I said.
Yeah.
So, okay, you seem to be getting this. You're pretty good. So let's have a look at another example. He reads all the time. He's reading at the moment. He was reading when I walked into the room. He used to read as a child, and then he stopped. And he will be reading every day when he goes to lie on the beach in Australia. So which verb would we use here?
Czytać.
Okay. Czytać. And the perfect form will say he read the book from start to finish. He will read this book because you recommended it to him. He has read that book in the past, and he had read all of that information previously. He just forgot. So perfective form of the verb in Polish would be
Yeah, so logically, when you look at this chart, you would probably say something like naczytać. Yeah, but unfortunately, not that easy, so it's przeczytać.
it is. przeczytać. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's quite difficult to remember. So how can you remember that imperfect is for duration of action and perfect is for short? So you're a teacher, right? So maybe if we think about an imperfect student, I don't know, let's call him Phil. Okay. So Phil is the imperfect student. Phil never finishes his homework. He starts it, he doesn't finish. It takes him a long, long time. You have to tell him again and again and again to do his homework. So here we've got imperfect Phil, that it takes a long time. Okay. On the other hand, you might have a
Hi,
perfect,
hi, hi, Phil.
yeah, hi Phil. You might have a perfect student. I don't know, let's say no, Robert, for example. So he always finishes his homework. He does all his homework za jednym zamachem. So straight
Yeah.
away, you only have to tell him once, it's finished, it's done, all over. So we've got imperfect Phil that goes on and on and on and on, and perfect Robert. So everything is short, completed. That's just for you to help you to remember, okay?
No, this is brilliant. It's really extremely helpful. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so just to recap. So these imperfect verbs are used for ongoing, for simultaneous actions as well, like I was working on the computer when the phone rang. I was having a lesson with Janusz when my wife interrupted us. So two things that are happening at once. If there's a duration of action, it's the imperfective form of the verb. So there's no sense of completion. If I said to you, dzisiaj kupowałem buty. So did I actually get the boots or not?
No, we don't really know.
We don't really know. We
We
don't
don't
really
really
know
know.
with
Oh,
imperfect verbs.
yeah, we'll have to ask your wife.
Oh, that's a wife. Yeah, that's right. And we talked about this before. So only imperfective verbs can be used in the present tense. And the last point, it's not strictly true, but it helps me to differentiate which is the imperfective form, because often the imperfect form is longer. So, for
Yes.
example, to give, it's dać, dawać. So dawać, the longer one is imperfective. Sprzedać, sprzedawać. Przygotować, przygotowywać. Zachować, zachowywać. So the longer form is perfective, if you're trying to recognize which is which.
So it lasts longer and the verb is longer. It has more letters, things like this. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It takes you longer to figure out how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it takes you more time to remember it as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, there are some indicators, some clues that help you decide which form you should use. And these are some words that will indicate to you that you have to use the imperfective verbs. So can you just read these words in Polish so we can check your pronunciation?
All right. So zawsze, czasami, codziennie, raz w roku, często, nigdy, zwykle, zazwyczaj, wciąż, ciągle, kiedyś, wtedy, w tym czasie.
No, bardzo dobrze, fantastycznie. Jestem pod wielkim wrażeniem, bardzo dobrze.
Dziękuję, dziękuję.
So when you think about it, it doesn't make sense when you have a word like zawsze to use a perfective verb. You couldn't say, let's say, um, I always came into the room. I always wrote a letter. It doesn't sound right. Yeah. So whenever you see these words, it's a clue that you should be thinking about using the imperfect form. Okej, no wszystko
How,
jasno?
how,
Wszystko
how do you code them? Do you
brzmi
code
jak...
them somehow? Do you code
What?
them like yourself? Do you code them indicators or you have another word to code them
No, not
like
really.
like
Not
keywords
really.
or something?
Well, I don't know. I've written on the slide indicators, so I guess I
Okay,
would call indicators that you need an imperfective verb.
okay.
No, wszystko jasne? Wszystko rozumiesz? Czy masz jakieś pytania?
Wszystko jasne, wszystko jasne.
Wszystko jasne. Okay. Okay, let's see. So here we got some imperfective verbs, the one that you said before. So if I said codziennie czytam książkę, how would you translate that into English?
So I read a book every day.
Okay, bardzo dobrze. Czytałem książkę, kiedy komórka zadzwoniła.
So I was reading a book when the cell phone rang.
Bardzo dobrze. Bardzo dobrze. Here we got these two simultaneous actions.
Yeah,
And the last one. Będę czytał książki, kiedy będą na wakacjach.
I will read books when I am on a holiday.
Okay. I'll be reading books. So here we've got a present tense, we've got a past tense, and we've got a future tense. Okay.
Okay.
Let's change track. Let's go back and we'll talk about these perfective verbs, which are only used for completed action. So there's no duration of action associated with these verbs at all. It's a one-off, all finished, all done, one and done. Okay? And because of that, there's no present tense form of these perfective verbs. They describe what happened or what will happen in the future, but once only. And very commonly, these verbs are formed from imperfective verbs by adding a prefix. Czytać, przeczytać, robić, zrobić, gotować, ugotować. Okay, jasne? And just like with imperfective verbs, we've got some indicators here. So your pronunciation was pretty good last time. So have another go. Let's read through these words.
Okay, so we have raz, nagle, w końcu, nareszcie, już, dopiero, natychmiast, potem, później, pewnego dnia, zaraz, od razu.
Okay, very good. So all of these words are indicators that a perfective form of the verb is required. So, wczoraj przeczytałem książkę. What's that?
Yesterday I read a book.
Did you finish
What?
reading the book?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes.
So it indicates that you finished the book entirely. You read it from beginning to end. Jutro przeczytam książkę.
Tomorrow I will like read and finish the book. I will read the
Very good.
book. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Mm, Przeczytał wiadomość od swojej żony.
He read a message from his wife.
Bardzo dobrze. Okay. I think you're getting this. You're doing pretty well.
Yeah, but so if you in English basically you need to give more context, like use more words to say what
Yeah.
in Polish say with these aspects, right?
Yeah. So in many ways, well, I think Polish can be simpler because for someone who's learning English, you're faced with a multitude of different tenses, and it's very difficult to get that right. I assume, yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Absolutely. It is. It is.
Okay, so when we're thinking about English, we're going to go through these sentences, and I want you to tell me that if you were going to say this in Polish, would you be using an imperfect or a perfect form of the verb? Okay.
Okay,
So
this is
Polish school every Saturday.
he goes to Polish. So we need to look for some keywords. I call them keywords, yeah, the indicators.
Words. Oh,
So to
keywords is
have,
good. Okay.
yeah. So every, so niedokonany.
Niedokonany. Imperfect. Very good. Okay. She bought herself some new shoes.
So there are no keywords here, but we can assume that she has these new shoes now, so it's dokonany.
Perfect. Okay. Mm. He's always washing the bloody car.
So again a keyword always niedokonany.
Niedokonany. Oh, here we go. Here we've got something that Phil might say. Sometimes I don't do my homework.
Yeah, so again another keyword. So niedokonany sometimes.
Okay, very good. Suddenly he came into the room.
So suddenly was a keyword for dokonan.
Very good. His dog ran off.
No keywords, but we can assume it was one and done, and it's dokonan.
Okay. I used to know how to say that in Polish.
So this with used to was like a keyword for niedokonan.
Niedokonany. Imperfect. Okay. Oh, znowu Phil wrócił. Phil's come back again. He never listens in class.
Oh, that's not only field. That's again a keyword never. So niedokonan.
Niedokonany. They understood immediately what that meant.
We have again this keyword immediately, and also we can assume it was one and done. So dokonan.
Very good. Very good. You got all of those correct.
Yeah, but it was still stressful despite everything.
Yeah, it's going to get worse. Just wait. So, so let's have
Okay.
a think now. Which verb in that first sentence, if you wanted to translate it into Polish, which verb would you use for him going to school every Saturday?
Oh, yeah, that's definitely worse. So, because Polish chodzić.
Chodzi. On chodzi do polskiej szkoły co sobotę. Okej, chodzi.
Yeah, yeah.
Next one.
She bought herself some new clothes. So, kupiła.
Kupiła. Kupiła sobie nowe buty i nie poinformowała biednego męża. Tak? What about the next one? He's always washing the car.
Myje.
Myje. On bez przerwy myje samochód.
Tak.
Sometimes I don't do my homework.
Robię.
No, ja robię, Phil nie robi, więc robi.
Dokładnie.
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 Suddenly he came into the room. He entered the room.
Mm. Wszedł.
Wszedł. Nagle wszedł do pokoju. His dog ran off.
Uciekł.
Uciekł. Pies uciekł. So one and done, run away. Okay.
I
I used to know how to say that in Polish. I used to know. Kiedyś,
wiedziałem.
kiedyś wiedziałem. You never listen in class. Phil never listens.
Nigdy nie słucha.
Nie słucha. And they understood immediately.
Zrozumieli.
You know, people are going to get suspicious that we've rehearsed this and you've got all the answers. I have to say this is not true. You've never seen these slides before.
Yeah, but this is still very interesting to me because I still need to, think a little bit just not to make a mistake. Yeah. So it's
Okay.
it's definitely useful for me also to
Okay.
see this from the student's perspective.
Yeah.
Like I know all these things and I still
Yeah.
can make a mistake. So just I can now I can imagine how difficult it is for my student.
Yeah. No, it gets even more difficult because up until now, we've been talking about verbs that at least look similar. Robić, zrobić,
Yeah,
pisać, napisać, and you can recognize that these words are related and that the verbs probably mean the same thing. But
yeah,
there's a number of very commonly used verbs in Polish with the two forms, the imperfect and the perfect form, they don't look anything like each other.
yeah. That's
And
that's the worst part, definitely.
work hard. And for someone learning Polish, you've got no choice. You've just got to learn this. Yeah. Not
Yeah,
only do they don't look anything like each other, the conjugations are very different, very complicated. And this is really difficult. And I think what we're going to do for the rest of the lesson, we're going to look at these pairs of verbs and just practice using them.
okay,
Okay?
okay.
We're going to have some examples. But first of all, you've got to decide for us what the matching verb is, what the other verb pair is. So if the imperfect verb is widzieć, ja widzę, what's the perfect equivalent? Odpowiedzi
Zobaczyć.
zobaczyć. So there's nothing like it.
No,
Yeah?
no.
Widziałem, zobaczyłem. You just got to learn this. It's very difficult. It gets even worse. Brać. What does brać mean?
Like to take or to get.
Yeah. So brać is niedokonany and dokonany.
Yeah, this is one of the favorite verbs of my students, which is wziąć.
Wsiąść. Go figure. I mean, how does that work? Mówić. On zawsze mówi.
Yeah.
But equivalent.
Ona zawsze mówi. Mówić i powiedzieć, powiedzieć.
It's very good. Again, with the next pair that look nothing like each other, kłaść, which means to put, right?
Yeah, that's awful.
Kłaść,
That's położyć.
położyć.
Yeah.
Okay. Oglądać, meaning to watch.
Oglądać, obejrzeć.
Obejrzeć. Okay. Otwierać, meaning to open.
Nie otwierać, otworzyć.
Okay. Znajdować, to find.
Tak. Znaleźć.
Znaleźć.
Tak, 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 tak.
Umierać, meaning to die.
Umrzeć.
Umrzeć. Correct. Zamykać, to close.
Zamknąć. Here at least we have the first two or three letters are
Yeah,
the same. Yes. It's
yeah,
not too
yeah.
bad. Not too bad.
It's not too bad. Those first four are probably the worst, yeah?
Yeah.
Now, we've got dokonani here, but these Polish verbs of motion are very difficult. So correct me if I'm wrong, but chodzić and iść, they're both niedokonane. And the difference is that chodzić is like it's only a repetitive thing.
Yeah.
Codziennie chodzę do szkoły, tak?
Tak.
So there is a dokonany form of the verb. So what is that?
So pójść would be
Correct. You looked a bit
pójść.
stressed.
Yeah. The verbs of the verbs of movement are just the top of the cherry on the top. Cherry on.
Cherry on top. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jak to powiesz po polsku? Coś na torcie. Wisienka na
Wisienka,
torcie?
wisienka. Tak,
Torcie, tak.
tak.
Okay, so we have more verbs of motion. Jeździć, jechać, and the perfective or dokonany form.
Yeah, so pojechać.
Pojechać. Bardzo dobrze. Kupować, to buy. We already had that with the expensive Louis Vuitton shoes.
Yeah, that's not too bad. That's kupić.
Kupić. Now, these next two are very similar. So to forget, we've got zapominać and
Yeah. Zapomnieć.
zapomnieć. And to sit, siadać.
Usiąść.
Okay. Okay. But
Usiąść.
normally what I would do with other students is I would leave this, so they would have a copy of this for the exercises that follow. But I don't think you need this. I think your Polish is now at the level that you match with it. Okay,
Let's try.
let's try. So the first little exercise we've got a sentence here in Polish, and you've got to choose between the two forms of the verb. So one is correct and one is wrong, but it's relatively easy because you've got the verb there. You just have to decide whether you're using the imperfective or the perfective. So have a go. You can read it out as you go along.
Okay, so codziennie rano brała leki, ale dziś zapomniała i wzięła je dopiero po południu, co spowodowało bóle głowy.
Okay.
Dobra.
So how did you know that that was brać?
Because of the keyword codziennie.
Okay, because of the keyword. So every day. So it has to be the imperfective form.
Yeah,
The other ones are one-off actions. Okay.
yeah, like
No, very
dziś, and then
tak.
related to like dopiero, it's a keyword,
Tak.
po południu. Yeah, so generally remembering the keywords is extremely important, I would say.
All right. The next one.
Zawsze kładłem klucze na półce przy drzwiach, ale tym razem położyłem je na stole w kuchni. Rano nie mogłem ich znaleźć.
Bardzo dobrze. And the keyword here is obviously zawsze. Okay.
Zawsze, and then
So the
tym
first one.
razem.
Perfective, and the other ones are perfective. Okay, number 3.
Codziennie otwierał sklep punktualnie o 7, ale wczoraj otworzył go dopiero po 8, bo zaspał.
Okay, so codziennie. Again,
Codziennie.
codziennie. It's pretty obvious.
Tak.
There's a few more of these.
Oglądaliśmy ten serial przez kilka tygodni, ale wczoraj w końcu obejrzeliśmy ostatni odcinek i było warto.
Okay, okay. So we got przez kilka tygodni, so over a few weeks. So it has
Tak.
to be oglądaliśmy. And wczoraj, that was a one-off. Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, next one.
Kupowaliśmy warzywa na targu co sobotę, ale w zeszły weekend kupiliśmy wszystko w supermarkecie, bo padało.
Okay. Straightforward, yeah?
Je co sobotę many times. Zeszły weekend one time.
Correct. Okay. And the last one in this section.
Chodziłem do tej kawiarni prawie codziennie, dopóki nie poszedłem tam pewnego dnia i widziałem karalucha. Dobre, dobre, dobre.
A to jest ciekawe, bo ja bym powiedział, zobaczyłem. Nie?
Yeah, so there are, certain contexts where it doesn't really matter. And
Yeah.
that's another level of complexity, yeah? Like
Yeah.
when we speak, we don't really care about any keywords, any like indicators, anything. So we just, do this naturally. Obviously, according to the rules, there
Yeah.
are certain, there are certain situations where it doesn't really matter.
That's interesting. So if I said that sentence and I said zobaczyłem karalucha, you wouldn't notice that. You wouldn't think that that was
No,
wrong.
no,
That's
no.
interesting because sometimes on the rare occasions I speak with my wife in Polish, she'll say something and I'll say to her, no, 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 that's a wrong verb. That's a wrong verb. It should be perfective. And she says, oh, here it doesn't matter. You can say both.
Yeah, that's true. That's very weird, but um, unfortunately, this happens rarely. So we can say that you can just choose whenever you want. It doesn't work like that. But there are certain situations where it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Język polski jest pełen pułapek.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Contraps.
It is.
Okay, now it gets a little bit more difficult because I haven't given you the verbs to choose. You have to actually come up with the appropriate verb to use in this space.
Okay.
So he kept saying he would come back, but he never kept his word.
He kept saying,
Over and over
co
again, he kept saying.
powtarzał,
No powtarzał. Tak, ale nie mam...
kept saying like mówił.
Dobrze. Okay. Oh, I got there. Wciąż mówię. I took a
Okay.
bath. I took a bath every day at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Brał. Codziennie brał. A, brałem, but I took. Okay.
Okay,
Codziennie
you
brałem.
correct. Well done. Okay, brałem.
I
I
was
was watching the
watching.
sunset for a full hour.
To oglądałem
Oglądałem. Okay,
całą godzinę.
całą godzinę. Next one.
To go to bed at the same time. O tej samej porze przez całe wakacje. To kładliśmy się. Kładliśmy
Kładliśmy
się
się
spać.
spać. Tak? To jest
Tak, tak,
poprawne?
tak.
Okay. Number 5.
He always found some excuse not to come. Zawsze znajdował.
Very good. Very good.
Znajdował zawsze jakieś wymówki.
Okay. The word zawsze is there, so you've got that keyword.
Natychmiast otworzył
Okay.
paczkę, gdy ją dostał.
Okay. Bardzo dobrze.
Widziałem w jego oczach coś, czego wcześniej I hadn't seen. Widziałem w jego oczach coś, czego wcześniej nie widziałem. Yeah, this is again the same, like with widziałem,
Okay.
zobaczyłem.
Yeah. It's the
Yeah, yeah,
same
yeah.
verb. I would say zobaczyłem. You said widziałem.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's the same. Yeah.
Same. Okay. We closed the door and we sat down in silence.
Zamknęliśmy drzwi i siedzieliśmy w ciszy.
Usiedliśmy, może być?
Mm, we sat down. We were sitting down. Usiedliśmy w ciszy. Yeah, it can be, but both can be correct because we don't
Correct.
know if it means something like we were sitting for a long time, then siedzieliśmy w ciszy.
Okay, if we're talking just about the action of sitting down, we came in and we sat down, that would
Yeah,
be
yeah.
Okay. Wreszcie bilet na koncert, o którym marzyłem.
Wreszcie kupiłem.
Kupiłem. We've got a keyword in the next one, nagle.
Nagle zmarł albo umarł.
Okay, umarł. Zanim
Tak.
zdążyliśmy się. Okay, number 11.
Codziennie widziałem ją, ale pewnego dnia zobaczyłem, że płakała.
Okay.
So one second. Codziennie zobaczyłem. That's definitely a context where we wouldn't say codziennie zobaczyłem ją.
Nie, nie.
That's definitely. But again, this the same pair of verbs, but in this
Yeah.
context, it has to be like that. There is no,
What about the end? At the end of the sentence, could you say, ale pewnego dnia
yes,
no
I
i
would say widziałem.
widziałem. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
It's interesting, it's just that one verb.
Widziałem, że płakała.
Tak.
This is totally normal to use widziałem in this context, yeah.
Okay. Maybe in this case, better to say zauważyłem. Just use a different verb in real
Different
life.
verb can be a different verb as well. But yeah, I would definitely figure out more about how and why we can just, use VGIM against the rules sometimes, because I never
Mm.
thought about it before.
What about the next one? Zawsze parasol, kiedy wychodził z domu, ale wczoraj w pośpiechu tylko kurtkę.
To zawsze brał i wczoraj wziął.
Very good.
We used to talk, so she used to rozmawiała z nim godzinami, aż w końcu powiedziała mu.
Very good. Okay. He used
He
to.
used
So
to
we've got
play.
an indication there.
Co zostawiał. He used to place. I
Może
mean
być,
this składał. Yeah, can be
może być.
this verb as well. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Kładł wczoraj położył.
Okay.
I used to watch. So oglądałem aż nagle obejrzałem cały sezon w jeden dzień. Dobre, dobre.
Binged. Okej. Bardzo dobrze. 16.
Zamykała drzwi za każdym razem, gdy wchodziła, ale w końcu zamknęła je na klucz.
Okay, great. We're flying through these. You're getting the hang of this. You're doing
I
pretty well.
kupowała warzywa na targu w każdą sobotę, aż pewnego razu kupiła coś podejrzanego. Nice.
Piła czy kupili?
They. Sorry, I didn't read the English. Yeah, kupili.
Oh, well, because you got the aspect correct. I always forgot a birthday.
Zawsze zapominałem, ale w tym roku nie zapomniałem i kupiłem jej
Very good.
prezent.
Very good.
We used to sit together for dinner every day. O, siadaliśmy razem do kolacji, ale tego wieczoru usiedliśmy w milczeniu. Okej. O, ładnie. Często otwierała okno, żeby wpuścić świeże powietrze, ale wczoraj otworzyła je tylko na chwilę.
Bardzo dobrze. Bardzo dobrze. I'm sorry, I told you that lesson was going to take half an hour. It's always taken an hour.
No, that's okay. That's okay. It was really great because not only I felt like a student for the first time in a very long time, and additionally, like I also learned a few things that I can deep into, and yeah, it was definitely very interesting and also useful for me, and it's going to be useful for everyone who is going to watch this. So, and
I've
on top of that, you are a really good teacher. I can tell you this with my fullest honesty that you just explain things in a very calm way, like you gave all these details, and yeah, really,
Ale trzeba
really.
przyznać, że twój język polski jest na bardzo wysokim poziomie. No, może
Mam nadzieję,
nawet A2, może nawet.
mam nadzieję, mam nadzieję. Staram się. That's what my students say sometimes, staram się. Yeah, I mean, I really, I like even the moments where I got confused because I always say this that this language is even confusing for native speakers. So now at least,
I thought you just said that to make me feel better, but it's
no,
true.
no, no, it's very confusing. It's very confusing because you know when you have a conversation, right? Let's say you have a conversation in your native language or in a language that you're fluent. You don't think about all these things, and when you have to think, this is where you get confused because now I had to think, you know. And when you think, you can make a mistake, a grammar mistake, but not a mistake which is, you know, when you talk with people, it's not a mistake because people don't really care about these small things, right? So there are many aspects here that I can work on from very different perspectives, like the way people use languages when they are, let's say, under a certain amount of stress, right?
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
is usually how my students feel, right? So maybe if they, you know, if they learn something and okay, and then we do an exercise, maybe with me they will make a mistake because of, you know, of stress, and later when they talk with their friends in Polish, they're not going to make the same mistake. So, you know, all these things are very interesting to just analyze and get something
Well,
that
it's an
can be
interesting
useful.
exercise for you because you feel that you're the student, despite the fact that you know everything. So it's not like a lack of knowledge, but the situation, the roles reversed, and it's interesting for you to feel that because, as you say, you haven't felt like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'll do, I'll send you some homework, and then we'll see if you're going to join Imperfect Phil or Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, this is a good idea. Okay. Yeah. No, I think I will join the perfect Robert, because if if you want to learn Polish, you need to be very consistent. Yeah.
You do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, Robert, thank you. Thank you again. This was absolutely amazing and very, very useful. Thank you for your time.
It was
Thank,
fun. That was a lot of fun.
thank you for also, just taking the whole thing and being the teacher. And yeah, see you in the next one.
See you in the next one. Cześć. Do zobaczenia. Pa.
Do zobaczenia. Cześć.
Wolność, kocham i rozumiem wolności. Oddać nie